Please.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, sir. Good morning, ma'am. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Have a seat.
Thank you, sir.
Harsh, you were born in Jaipur.
Yes.
You have done your BCom accountancy, law, economics, and political science also. Political science is something different from and HRM and financial management, tax and marketing. So chalk and cheese coming together.
So the reason is, sir, in the current scheme of DU BCom honors course, we have the option of choosing a non-commerce subject as a subject for a single semester.
For one
Here.
semester.
Yes.
Okay. But the marks are also counted towards
Yes.
that. Okay. And then of course you have won laurels and awards for public speaking, essay writing, football, NCC, leadership, innovation, tribal area development commission, agriculture, equestrianship,
Apiculture and equestrianism.
equestrian. Okay. And heartfulness meditation. What is that heartfulness meditation?
So it is a kind of meditation which directly focuses upon the heart. I can distinguish it from the conventional mindfulness meditation, which is largely upon how to tame your mind. But in heartfulness, that is the very first step. It goes more deeper and it dwells upon the spiritual aspect of meditation.
Okay. You have given 7th preference to Indian Foreign Service.
Yes.
Any specific reason for that?
Sir, as such, there's no specific reason. In fact, I consider IFS as a very prestigious profession. One is allowed to represent India in international forums. But I think, sir, I want to work in the grassroots. And I think my resolve after working as an intern in the TLE department in government of Rajasthan has made it even stronger. Hence, I chose the other services over Indian Foreign Services.
Okay. So, Harsh, nowadays we often hear a term called road rage. Now, what is road rage, and how do you think we can tackle this problem of road rage?
So, according to me, road rage are incidents wherein we get into violent encounters on road, which has increased of late. And I think the most potent strategy to do that, according to me, is to sensitize people and educate them about basic traffic manners and etiquette they're supposed to have on roads. I think that is enough.
Yeah, traffic manners is absolutely right, but it is a situation which happens after that, because they enter into an argument and then sometimes violent activities also. So any specific, only education or enforcement also has to go along with education?
So enforcement, no doubt, is a responsibility of our state. But I think enforcement has only a limited impact, because given the amount of roads our country has and the peculiarity of times when such incidents can actually happen, even in remote rural areas, we cannot monitor every place. I think sensitization of people hence is very important.
Okay. Now, many a time you find that people are driving under the influence of alcohol. Okay. Now, in such a situation, do you think if you are supposing posted as superintendent police, then would you like to consider or even recommend that whenever someone is found in that situation, the vehicle itself should be impounded and all the documents should be seized, and let him take a taxi and go back to his home? Now, this is typically what is happening on roads. Do you think it's a good method that you impound the vehicle also?
So prima facie, it seems to be right. Because in this, by doing so, you do not endanger the person's life or somebody else's life, who he might hit on the way after the checkpost also.
Yeah.
But I think so, before taking such step, I have to consider his situation. For example, he is in an emergency. In that case, I would ask him to take a driver, take an auto rickshaw, or in fact when any of these situations or any of such alternatives are not available, I would, I think, in fact, ask one of my subordinate to accompany him. For example, if he is rushing to a hospital or something. So I think it is contextual and situational.
All right. There has been a lot of talk of including water in the union list. What is your view about it?
So water is a issue, a pan-India issue, no doubt. But I think it would be better if it is left in the state list, because every state has its own issues related to water, be it quality or quantity, and every region has their own traditional methods to tackle with it. And I think a localized approach is way better than a top-down approach.
But see the problem in Punjab and Haryana and many states in South. For years together, the problem continues. Everyone regards that water to be one's own commodity. Don't you think we should rise above such levels now and declare that it is a national asset rather than having state boundaries?
Sir, water is a merit asset, merit resource. It is for the benefit of the people. But then too, I think that by nationalizing it or taking it in the union list, the way we approach it when it comes to conservation would be, I think, in a way, it would turn into a one-size-fit-all approach, which is not good for water. And,
all right. So you still feel that it should remain in the state list, even if the litigation goes on for years to come, and there is no consensus.
So I think that is not my argument here. I think we have to reach a solution, but that solution definitely is not.
Only recently, Punjab government passed a resolution that they will never give water and they will take Chandigarh. Haryana also passed a resolution. Do you think this kind of thing, even when both the states have the same political party, same government, they will not come to a consensus? So,
sir, I think water is a social commodity, and I think it is rather it is more sensitization of public and their awareness towards water that is to be improved.
Okay. What is Industry 4.0?
So Industry 4.0 is the latest industrial revolution that is being talked about. It has been at the World Economic Forum has taken the lead and has been leading the countries and industry in this regard. It talks about integration of various technologies like IoT and Internet of Things and machine learning and other various technologies.
Which sector of industry is it primarily concerned about?
So I think it is applicable in almost every sector. But one sector which I can think of right now, that it would be very helpful in the internet connectivity, or I should say telecom sector. Apart from that, the logistics sector can benefit a lot from this.
Okay, all right. Now, one last question to you, I'll ask.
Yes.
There are three different, types of governance in this country, which we have witnessed. One is called proactive governance, the second is called reactive governance, and third is called inactive governance. Can you tell me what is proactive governance, what is reactive, and what is inactive, and give an example, actual example, which we have witnessed in the last about 70 years or so. Have you understood what I'm trying to say?
Yes, completely.
Yeah. So what is a proactive governance?
So proactive governance is a governance model wherein the main stakeholders, civil servants in this case, take proactive decisions, that is preemptive decisions. They forecast, they do scenario analysis and take steps. I think apt example for this would be the step towards better management of disasters using technologies like iFlow, which is based upon machine learning and which predicts the disaster before itself and prepares the ground level workers. Talking about reactive governance.
No, but give an example.
So iFlow,
something which has happened in the past, in 75 years, one example which has happened in this country, any prime minister who has practiced proactive governance in any particular respect of governance. Any example, real example.
Yes.
This is what you have said is fine. that you can, if you have, for disaster management, if you prepare in advance and for the future, yes, it is proactive. What did Rajiv Gandhi do?
Yes, sir. Rajiv Gandhi sir has when he predicted well before the requirement and need for technology and supercomputers,
Correct.
and
Absolutely.
hence he imported them
Yes.
from
So
abroad.
that was proactive governance. Tell me something about reactive governance.
So reactive governance is, I think, contrary of proactive governance.
Hmm.
It is a knee-jerk reaction which is taken by the government towards an adverse scenario which it is encountered with. An apt example for this can be the 1991 crisis. After the crisis, we started the structural reforms.
Okay.
So that is one example of reactive governance.
Anything in recent past? Very recent thing where we reacted subsequently?
Yes, sir. The Cayenne retrospective dispute of taxation. After we were shamed in international forums, our sovereign assets were taken away. We backtracked from the retrospective taxation policy. That was a reactive step.
COVID-19?
So I would not call it a reactive step.
What is it? Is it proactive? After the calamity struck, then we immediately moved into this, the hospital infrastructure, everything that was reactive.
So I think so.
Suddenly wagons were, they started transporting the oxygen. And there were so many deaths. Okay, all right.
Yes, sir. I will answer it.
Inactive.
Okay, sir. I can actually answer the COVID-19 question also.
All right.
If you would want me.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sir, I think it was not reactive, sir. Okay. Because we relied on the wisdom of WHO in the first wave. All our decisions primarily were based on the information given by WHO. After that also, sir, we took a very prudent approach.
Did we stop the international flights from coming over to this country? Knowing fully well that it was going on? Did we not stop Trump's visit to this place? So many things happened at that time. And then electioneering in some of the states was going on. Was it proactive or whether it was reactive?
So it was inactive.
Okay, all right. You consider inactive. All right. So, this is what, if you regard as inactive, first of all, tell me what is inactive.
So, inactive governance is a scenario in which we omit to take the required decision we are supposed to, and we let the status quo prevail, which is not prudent.
Yeah, but in this case, you did not allow the status quo to prevent. And ultimately, it was proactive.
So we were supposed.
COVID-19, we did take action, but it was reactive.
Yes,
isn't it?
I'm talking about the electioneering part.
All right.
We are supposed to raise the standards, but we did not.
Okay. All right. Talking about one Prime Minister of this country, who the UPA 1 and UPA 2. So many scams which were going on. It was totally inactive governance at that point of time.
Yes.
All right.
Very informative.
He was rendered inactive. Why you want to join civil services?
So I have certain very personal reasons for that. The foremost being, sir, I was a survivor in the 2015 Chennai floods, and I actually saw what the district administration can do, and that allowed me to pursue this as a career. Apart from that, sir, I think I can best utilize my skill set in the service of.
So you were impressed by the work done by the district administration?
Sir, not just impressive, but I found out the responsibility a district administrator has and the kind of impact he can has upon the people in such
So that
emergencies.
will be for few years. After 35 years, you may be having slightly, I think, less or more, but I mean, it will be only for few years, 3 years, 4 years at the most.
Sir, as I said, sir, that is one of the reasons. Apart from that, sir, I want to serve the country. This is definitely one way of doing it.
How you serve the country? When you join a service, you get actually all the perks, salary, time-bound promotions, everything you get.
Sir,
And
I
still
think
you serve. What is service? How you serve the nation?
Sir,
IAS officers, civil servants still serve. There are many NGOs, there are many self-help groups, doctors, engineers, artists, they don't serve.
So I think everybody serves, and in fact, it is the responsibility of every citizen to serve the country. But I think the most consistent and most efficient manner to do that is through civil services. I had the opportunity of being an intern in TAD department, government of Rajasthan, and I saw it firsthand as to how efficiently one can serve. And I should not be saying this, sir, but by becoming a part of NGO, sir, I think it becomes a little parochial when you have to serve.
But tribals are still very poor. Most
Yes.
of them, they migrate to bordering states for livelihood.
Yes, sir.
There is no water available in border districts. Health facilities are missing.
Yes. So, but that does not mean the TAT department is not serving them. We are doing a lot. So the state government has taken a lot of steps, and
But
I
we
think-
are saying actually we are doing lot of things. We will do lot of things. But 75 years, don't you think it is enough time?
so it surely is enough time, sir. And a lot has actually improved in the.
You are a student of marketing also. You have studied marketing. Who is
Yes.
father of marketing management?
I'm not aware, sir. I'm sorry.
So do the SWOT analysis of Rajasthan.
So SWOT analysis of Rajasthan. The strength of Rajasthan is its tourism department, diverse culture, and I think very harmonious population. The threat which I see is I think-
Weaknesses.
Yes, weakness. Before coming to that, the weakness I think is the literacy, the social issues like Parda system, and opportunities which I see is a strong demographic dividend that the state has. Apart from that, sir,
What is the strong
so
demographic
around
dividend?
sir, more than 25% of the state population is in the golden period of demographic dividend, and if they are tapped properly, sir, they can contribute to the economy of the state. Apart from that,
They are gainfully employed or they are well educated.
so the education levels have significantly risen in the last 10 years.
But I have seen actually thousands of boys, going to Haridwar, taking kawad, and do you think this is asset? This is dividend?
So no, sir, I cannot say they are assets, but again, I would say, sir, we cannot take a blanket stand just because somebody is.
But the opportunities,
So, given the opportunities in the state, sir, the youth are doing their best, and literacy rate has significantly risen, sir. And so, a lot of population in the younger generation are actually moving out of the state to gain gainful employment. So, they are an asset in that sense. Other opportunities which I see is, sir, the mining sector, the revenue which the government can gain from the Bardmer refinery, precisely. Then threats which I see, sir, is communal tension, like how recently seen, and desertification.
see, first strength me, you told that there is a complete harmony.
Yes,
Now
sir.
you are telling that there is a tension between the communities.
So this was a recent example, sir, and in fact it is Karoli as the district has never had a history of communal violence.
Do you think the SDGs are relevant to India?
Yes, sir, they are completely relevant to India.
What is the purpose of having SDGs?
So I think SDGs are required to develop the country as a whole, holistically.
They are for development. What is the theme for actually the SDGs?
So I think they have multiple themes, sir.
What they
As-
want to achieve through these SDGs goals? What we want to achieve?
Sir, I think the end goal after all the SDGs, I think, is empowerment of people, especially vulnerable sections, happiness as a whole, a sense
Happiness
of
is-
satisfaction in a democratic state.
No happiness,
setup.
no satisfaction. There are 3 regions. Give 1, 2, 3.
Sir, I'm not aware of specifically any three.
There are specific regions. How many are there in the SDGs?
17. Sir.
17. The top one and the last one.
So first one is poverty, no poverty, and the last is
So
collaboration.
obviously, the purpose of actually having is to remove, that is the topmost, hunger, poverty, disease. Okay, thank you.
Harsh, public speaking, British
Yes.
Council. Yes, distinction in that.
Yes.
Okay, I'll give you a subject and I'll give you 30 seconds. So we'll do some public speaking. What happens on social media? Should it stay on the social media or will it translate into action in reality, in real world?
Ma'am, social media today is one of the main gatekeepers of the society. Recently, we have seen social media has the potential to both make and break certain situations in a society. As far as India is concerned, social media has played both positive and negative roles. Let me first enlist certain positive roles which it has played in our country. It has provided employment to masses in our country. It has provided new business opportunities for the younger generation. It has allowed us to interact and have very good and healthy connections and
Stop. 30 seconds are up. My question was, what happens on the social media? Does it actually translate if there is, particularly in case of violence, I've asked. I haven't got a word on violence. Yes? Now, essay writing. Let's come to essay writing. Okay. What are the 3 concrete steps which the Rajasthan government has taken for upliftment of women in the state? 30 seconds.
Yes. 3 concrete steps the Rajasthan government has taken in case of women empowerment. First, it has
I didn't say empowerment, I said betterment.
betterment.
Yeah.
So for the betterment of women, the Rajasthan government has taken many steps. A few of them, namely 3, which are: first is the Rajashri Yojana, wherein the government transfers 50,000 rupees in cash to women accounts. The second scheme they have
For what
started
reason? It transfers is okay. For what reason?
for the education and healthcare facilities of women child,
At
which is
what-
born.
Okay.
The second point is now that Rajasthan has taken out decoy operations to reduce the female infanticide and other ill practices and improve the sex ratio. The third point is, ma'am, we have taken a number of steps for empowerment of women like Amrita Hearts for business, to provide business forums to women entrepreneurs.
Okay. Thanks. You're a commerce student.
Yes.
Yes. Why not go in for further specialization on that? And you come from a very prestigious college.
Ma'am, I'm pursuing my MCom in IGNOU.
Okay.
Apart from that, ma'am, I think I would also do something more in the field of commerce after I'm placed in a job. So no doubt,
So what is that? Something?
I've not thought about that right now. Maybe a MPhil or
Not
Yeah.
into CFA, actuarial, accountancy, nothing of those.
no.
Nothing of those. Okay. In your earlier statement, you said desertification. Is it increasing or decreasing in Rajasthan? The Thar
It is
desert.
decreasing.
It is decreasing. So, what are the measures which have helped in that?
Ma'am, the most visible measure the state government has taken is the Indira Gandhi Nahar Pariyojana. That has to a very large extent reduced desertification. Otherwise,
How does that function?
ma'am, we are drawing water through canal from the Harike barrage and using that to afforest the boundaries of the Thar desert.
Yeah.
Apart from that, ma'am, we have micro wind breaks that have been established in arid regions. Third, ma'am, to combat desertification, the government is promoting afforestation and social forestry in regions like Gogunda.
Large scale afforestation is taking place, and because of that, the water tables are rising. Rejuvenation on its own is also happening. So that's a cycle which is helping in kind of combating the desertification.
Yes.
My last question: is sati still prevalent in Rajasthan?
Ma'am, to
And
my
what are
know-
the areas, the triangular area where sati was practiced, particularly in those areas?
Ma'am, to my knowledge, based on the popular media or newspapers which I read, I think it is not very prevalent now, ma'am.
You use the word not very, which means it is prevalent. My question was, is it prevalent or not?
It is not prevalent.
But the statement says otherwise. Yes? Okay, when was the last major incident which brought the media glare on it and there were steps taken to kind of eradicate it?
Now I'm not aware.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Harsh. Now, can you list out some of the important achievements of India in the space program?
Sir, I think the Chandrayaan 1 is a very distinguished achievement of our country. Apart from that, sir, the low-cost satellites which we are able to launch through PSLV, especially for research and students. Apart from that, sir, the recent opening up of space sector for startups. These are three
That's
things.
not an achievement. That's just opening up.
So India's achievement, I think last year it was able to place more than 100 satellites in one launch in the orbit. That is one achievement in the space sector.
Anything else?
So these three are the
We are launching a lot of foreign satellites.
Yes.
Every PSLV launch takes many satellites. So it's a commercial launch. Our telecommunication has improved considerably because we have been able to launch a lot of satellites to improve all types of media, internet, television, all telecommunication systems. What else?
So I think INSAT is a good initiative
Yeah,
which
absolutely.
tries to connect this country.
So
through
what
its own.
else? What else like this?
So I think, and the recent to be launched the NISAR satellite in collaboration with ISRO
Mhm.
is a good initiative.
Our satellites are also surveying our land and agricultural fields.
Yes.
There's also what you call exploration of minerals.
Yes, sir. Synthetic aperture radars have been
So
installed.
there
and-
are many achievements in this field.
yes, sir,
Which,
but I didn't think these were distinguished achievements, hence I did not mention them.
So what did you thought? Distinguished means only putting a satellite on moon. That is more distinguished than serving millions of people in terms of telecommunication.
So I thought I'll give some specific examples. That's why I did not.
Okay, so that is one. Now, what are the occasions when the President of India addresses the Parliament?
So the President of India addresses the Parliament in every new year or after every new term has begun, after every new year, which is the budget session. These are the 2 points wherein the President addresses the
Yeah,
Parliament.
when the Parliament is reconstituted after election, that is one.
Yeah.
And then
Every new-
in the beginning of the budget session.
Yes.
What are the powers of the President in terms of our constitution? Important powers.
Sir, I think certain exceptional powers given to the President of India is one, the power to pardon, the power to sign ordinances, and I think that every decision of the government is taken in the name of the President. Major appointments are made under the hand and seal of the President, and the power to adjourn a house, not adjourn, but to dissolve a house, to call a parliament session, and the power to declare war or peace in emergency situation, and also declare emergency under the advice of the Council of Ministers.
Yeah, but some of these powers are exercised by the Council of Ministers.
Yes.
But there's very important power,
Most important one.
the fundamental power which President enjoys.
Appointment of civil servants.
The appointment of the Prime Minister of India.
Yes.
Once he
after the election, if of course if there's a clarity in majority, then it's fine. But if there's no clarity, then he has the power. Who should he invite to form the government? That's the most important part.
Yes.
There is also head of armed forces,
Yes.
head of the three forces. Okay. Now, Dalai Lama came to India in 1959, and since then he has been living here. What is his status? Why did he come? What is, compelling him to stay, and what is his status here?
So the main reason why Dalai Lama, His Highness Dalai Lama came to India was because of the persecution of the Tibetans, and I think the forced enforcement of Chinese culture over the Tibet culture, which he wanted to save, that compelled him to.
Is it? These are the reasons.
So these are the reasons that I have said.
Wasn't it that the Tibet was invaded and taken possession of by the Chinese, and they did not want?
So I think yes, sir, that being, I think I meant that when I said their culture was suppressed and
Culture suppression is a long-term process going on. It cannot be done overnight. It's a long-term process. Okay, now how do you view his stay in India since 1957?
I think so. Dalai Lama has contributed to our status as a nation which is able to host.
No, I'm not asking that. It is in the context of his own country. He was exiled from his own country. He
Yes,
was
sir.
forced to leave the country. Yeah.
And we are giving.
He is a refugee here. Technically, he
Yes,
is a
sir.
refugee here.
And yes, sir.
So then, what is he doing? What is the, could he achieve his purpose? What is his purpose?
So I think the purpose is definitely not achieved. Otherwise, he would go back to Tibet.
But you have to be very clear what you want to say. Because you are a debater, you see. You have to be clear, you write essays. You
And-
should give a clear answer.
Yes, sir. So,
That he has not been able to,
So
regain control of his country from the Chinese occupation.
yes.
Chinese are still, there you can say that they are trying to change the demography and culture of that country. He formed the government in exile, which tried to negotiate with Chinese but did not work properly. Now, who is the leader of the government in exile of Tibet in India?
Sir,
I mean abroad.
Sir, I'm not aware, but it is somebody of Tibet origin living in America. That is, I think, to my knowledge. I don't remember the exact names.
Living in America or living mostly in India?
So, I think the article which I read last year
Okay.
stated.
Okay, now, have you heard a name called Brundtland Commission?
Yes.
What is that?
So, Brundtland Commission is the commission which forms the very basis of the entire environmental movement that has started worldwide against the climate change. It occurred somewhere in the 1970s.
70s?
Yes, sir. 70s. And
1970s?
yes, sir. Brundtland Commission. It came up with a document known as Our Common Future.
When was it published? The commission was set up in 84 and it published the document in 87, which is called Our Common Future. And what followed that?
So we have creation of UNFFC and other institutions under which the different COPs take place.
When was this UN FCCC was, signed and where?
So I don't
now?
remember the exact year, sir. It was in 1990s.
I think you need to read a little bit more about environmental issues. Because after Brundtland Commission, the Rio Summit, or
Yes,
the Earth
sir.
Summit we call, took place in 92 in Rio.
Yes.
There, this United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change was. So many other things were happening. So you should read a little bit about that. Thank you.
Yeah, Harsh, recently an important leader of your state, Kirodimal Baisala, he expired. Do you know anything about him? What is it that he's known for?
So Kirodimal Baisla is a important Gujar
Was.
leader.
Was.
Was a important Gujar leader.
Mhm.
He spearheaded the Gujar reservation protest and movement that took place in the state.
What was the objective of this movement?
So they wanted a separate sub-classification under OBC for the Gujar community.
Say you are a district magistrate or the SP in the district, and such agitation is happening in your area. You would have known that in the different agitations, they sit on the railway lines and block the national highways. What steps will you take to ensure that such agitations they do not turn violent and they do not hamper this connectivity?
Sir, I think proactive steps should be taken in this regard. We have
What
to
will be-
first map our requirements. We have to establish the amount of force that we have, the number of people who have poured into the city, and the main objective and the main sensitive areas where such protests can take place. And I think so. I would deploy the forces wherever required in the sensitive areas.
Mhm.
I would also start bilateral talks with the main leaders
Mhm.
so as to ensure that the protest does not turn violent.
Mm.
I would make sure that the normal day-to-day activities, wherever, especially in these sensitive areas, are stopped so that the damage to public property and private property is minimized.
What is the criteria for these reservation that the government extends? The OBC reservation.
So the criteria for OBC reservation is social and educational backwardness.
Mhm.
So this is
What is the process of deciding who's an OBC and who's not? Who does it?
So the first set of list was came up in the Mandal Commission, sir.
Mhm.
So in which more than 1,500 castes were included. After that, sir, whenever required, so the central government, the parliament decides the caste which are to be included.
Sometimes the state government also.
They recommend, sir, and if a state does give a OBC status to a caste, it remains only in that specific state, not in the central list.
You belong to OBC.
Yes.
In your state. So in your state only, in certain districts charts are classified as OBC, and in certain districts not. So how do you like reconcile with this? The
So
same.
two districts of Rajasthan, the Jat community is considered to be general, Dholpur and Bharatpur. The reason is they have a lineage of a princely state. The Jats of these two districts were actually also the rulers of the same princely states. The Jat community in the other districts, on the other hand, are more or less the agrarian section of the society.
But here also only there would have been only one family, not like everyone would have been ruling, right?
Yes, sir, I do agree, sir. But their social status, because of the local prince being a Jat ruler, increase their social status, and hence they are considered to be forward caste.
Okay, who's called the plate of Jats?
Sir, Suraj Mal, if I am not wrong, is called the plate of Jats because of his strategies and his way of thinking.
Okay. Why did he not join the Marathas in the Third Battle of Panipat?
Sir, I think he was very prudent, so as to say he was the plate of Jats. He understood that the Afghan forces were very strong, and he decided the security of his state remains if he is indifferent in the war. But in the later stage, he did give refuge to Marathas, even at the threat given by the Afghan forces.
Shouldn't he have joined hands with them to fight a foreign adversary? Did he extend some
Yes, sir,
advice
he
to
did.
the Marathas?
So I'm not aware of any advice, but he did provide them with supplies for the war.
Right. Your hobbies, equestrianism. What is that?
So that includes a gamut of activities. It is more or less related to horse riding.
Yeah, of course.
So the activities which I pursue in this are normal horse riding, which includes activities like trotting, canter, gallop.
Okay.
I also do hurdles and sometimes
Show jumping.
Yes, show jumping. But so show jumping is little more complicated. I stick to normal hurdles only right now.
What is the difference between a trot and a canter?
So trot is when a horse is, it is more like a walk of a horse.
No, walk is different.
So a little faster
Walk, trot,
and
canter,
then
and gallop.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
So what is the difference between these four?
So fast pacing by horse is
No,
is
there's
trot.
there's something to do with the number of legs that are involved.
So I don't remember the number.
So when the horse is walking, it is using four legs
Four legs.
independently.
Yes.
And trotting, alternate two. Okay. And when cantering, three
Cantering.
against one. And galloping is again free.
Yes.
All four. Right. Can you tell me 3-4 breeds of horses that are like, currently prevalent? Maybe.
So the ones which I got to ride the Kathiawari breed, so
Mhm.
the Marwadi breed also.
Mhm.
I also once rode an Arabian horse,
Mhm.
and I've seen in the polo club thoroughbred horses, but those are a little expensive and personal horses of horse riders. So I've
There's a
never
certain
ridden one.
breed that is used specifically for shoe jumping.
So thoroughbred is a breed which is prominently used for show jumping,
It's,
Because-
it's Hanoverian, the German breed, Hanoverian. Thoroughbred is for
long distance.
Long distance.
So I think show jumping also they have been using thoroughbred.
You know, that you can use.
Yes.
How do you differentiate a Kathiawadi from a thoroughbred?
So
Just by looks, just by looks.
So Kathiawari has a very distinguishing ear lobes. They join on at the
Right.
top of the head.
Right. And thoroughbred?
So thoroughbred is a very muscular type of horse. They have their stance is very high. Like I don't know the technical term for that, sir, but their gait as such is very high.
The chest.
Yes.
You make out a thoroughbred through the chest. You're also a footballer. You played at national level.
Yes, sir. CBSE.
CBSE you played. What are different formations in a football team? I mean, you've been a captain of the team. What formation?
So we practiced we followed two formations in our game:
Mhm.
4-3-3
Mhm.
and 4-3-2-1. Depending on the strategy, sir. If it was a more attack-related strategy, 4-3-3.
Mhm.
Otherwise, in a defensive position, 4-3-2-1.
So which position do you play?
Sir, I was a right wing back.
Right wing back.
Right wing back.
Okay, tell me who's your favorite right wing back right now?
Sir,
Who's currently playing?
Sir, I don't actually see football. I don't follow football. So
Okay, you don't follow
I can-
football.
no, sir, I don't watch football.
You don't know about any of the players who are playing right now.
Right now, sir, no, sir. The last 2 years, I've hardly seen any football match.
There's who's the player who scored maximum number of international goals? You would have seen the World Cup at least. You would.
Yes, sir, yes. Sir,
Okay,
so
name.
Sunil Chhetri is one of the top 3.
Yeah. Right.
Ronaldo is one of the top 3. I'm not certain who's the first.
Messi.
I'm not certain, sir. I cannot say. I don't want to guess.
What is total football?
Sir, total football is a strategy in football, sir. It is a strategy.
Where did it emerge? Who was the player who employed this?
I don't know the history, sir, but I do know the strategy.
What is it?
It's a very dynamic kind of strategy, sir. Herein, it's primarily focused towards the wing back only. Here, they according to the situation, do both defense and attack. They overlap in formations and they continuously change the formations according to the place where the ball is.
Which country did it emerge in?
So
Country,
I think, if I can remember, it is Italy or Netherlands.
Yeah, it
Either of
is
it.
Netherlands by Johan Cruyff in 1974. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so Harsh, we'll take you back to for a few moments outside, and we'll call you again for feedback.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Have a seat. So when is your interview fixed?
So 13th April, 6 days hence.
This is for the first time you'll be appearing at an interview at the UPSC.
Yes.
All right. So tell us, Harsh, how do you think you performed at this interview?
So I could have done better, sir. there were a few places where I think I confronted in the ways I was not supposed to. And I think I slipped when I mistook ma'am's question. I should have better answered that, both of them.
The debate and the
Yes.
essay.
I
No,
think
if you don't understand the question, you are free to ask it. But then when you speak to the point.
Okay, so let's
ma'am,
come
actually,
to the.
I had not expected
Obviously.
extempore.
Okay, so let's come to the brass tacks. So, first of all, since you belong to Jaipur, so many questions will be asked on Rajasthan. There is no doubt about it. So you have to prepare on the demography of Rajasthan, the culture of Rajasthan, the tourism potential of Rajasthan, the strategic importance of Rajasthan, the irrigation facilities as they exist in Rajasthan, agricultural crops, desertification, all these things, important institutions which are in Rajasthan. So all these things you prepare by heart. That is one thing which you will have, you will be required to do, and many questions will be asked. Then we did not ask any questions much on BCom. So your subject you will have to prepare on that also. And public speaking and essay writing, yes, definitely there may be question on that. And sports, since you have written quite number of sports, and you have done a lot of work in the travel area also. And then of course why Indian Foreign Service is at the 7th preference. And now coming to the first question, which is the most likely question which comes, is why civil service. So there you will have to properly prepare the answer to that question. So why civil service is that civil service is unique in many respects as compared to other services. And the uniqueness lies in the fact, number one, that it gives you a great opportunity to work in very, very responsible positions at a fairly young age. And the leadership positions, they are the leadership positions. Whether as SDM or as collector or as a director or secretary in the IAS or in the IPS, right up to the top level, it provides a leadership position at a very young age. So that is one uniqueness of this. Okay. The second is that it gives you huge exposure to a plethora of departments, areas. So the exposure of the various areas of the administration, which is not provided in any other service, in private sector or in a PSU or otherwise. So that the entire canvas is huge. If I in lighter vein, if I say this, that if there are 26 alphabets in English language, so A to Z, every letter represents a department, and you have a chance of being in practically almost all letters in 35 years of service. So A is agriculture, C is cooperation, F is forest, E is environment, S is social welfare, T is transport, W is wildlife. Every department you have. So the exposure is too much in the Indian administrative service, but so is the exposure in other services also, be it railways, audit and accounts. You get many opportunities, many areas you get to know. So the overall development personality. The third is that you are a part of the public policy making process as it happens. So public policy making process essentially outlines 6 steps right from the time of identifying the problems of the people of this country. You will be able to identify the problem. That is the first stage. Second is agenda setting, finding out the different options for solutions. Then choosing that option, which is the best option, convert it into a policy through policy formulation, then building a consensus on that, and then that is called policy legitimization, and then making a law, and then after it becomes a law, then you implement it, and again you are involved in the implementation, project implementation. Then comes the stage of policy evaluation. So you evaluate what has been the policy outcomes, the policy outputs. Okay, so the end result. So this is the entire process. In the initial space, times, few years of your service, you are involved in the policy implementation. Then comes policy formulation and so on. Okay, so this is uniqueness of civil service. Besides, of course, it gives you a lot of opportunity to be creative and innovative, because you have in 2-3 years which you spend in every, you can be creative. You have a lot of administrative powers, financial powers, you can think about the problems and you can come out with lot of creativity. And lastly, satisfaction. It's a huge satisfaction when you do a lot of good things for the poor section of the society. Who are the poor section? They are the citizens of this country. So the administration in this country is called the citizen-centric administration, where citizen is the focal point. Okay. So once you work for the citizens, it is a very satisfying experience. Okay. Then the father of marketing, so that you were not able to remember who is
It
the
was
father.
quite theoretical, sir.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's
Philip
Philip
Kotler
Kotler.
is when you
Kotler.
marketing means Philip Kotler.
Yeah. So that is the most important person who was there. Then SWOT analysis of Rajasthan. You were more or less right, absolutely. For example, you talked about the strengths as tourism, the culture, and the harmony in which the
So I
different.
meant it in the context that we have about 18 to 20% Muslim population in the state, and comparatively, when we have such a huge population of minority, the communal harmony is very good in the state. I meant it in that context.
Then literacy, the weaknesses, literacy and the parda system, social problems, whether it is sati, whether it is almost obsolete now, but these were the problems and recently we had. And in fact, if you recall, the Vishakha guideline also were framed after an incident, Mawari Devi, which happened in Rajasthan only. And then strong demographic dividend. When you say strong demographic dividend, be slightly careful, because demographic dividend, if they are not having any jobs, is it really strong? It goes astray, in fact. So you said that it is a opportunity. Well, opportunity is there provided the government gives an opportunity. I mean, there are
Hence,
So
I used
many
it in
jobs
the
are
opportunities.
yeah.
Otherwise, I would have used it in the strength.
Okay, all right. So then threats, you said communal tension and desertification.
Yes.
But is it desertification? You yourself admitted it is going down. So is it really a threat now?
Sir, I think, sir, the western part of the state is doing good. But when we talk about other areas,
Okay.
for example, because of the huge groundwater extraction that is taking place in the state, for that reason, I have written desertification.
Okay. So then SDGs, of course, that SDGs. So you had to be nudged slightly to come out with the priority. You see, SDGs, when you speak, bring the most important part in the first place, priority, number one. So in fact, for every answer that you give, if there are different parts of the answer, bring out the most important part first. So as
You see,
Damuji
for
said,
all the when international level, UN is actually conceptualizing something for the whole world. It has to be a very larger picture. Has to be always hunger, poverty, disease. They will look actually a very broad canvas.
Sir, I thought these were specific problems.
Then specifics are 17, then some part of that. But the bigger picture is that.
The most important
address
priority is
hunger, poverty,
elimination
and
of
disease.
hunger.
Hunger.
Approximately 800 million people still sleep hungry in the night.
Yeah.
So hunger, and then reduction in poverty, and then of course other things.
so one issue related to that is, because I will just add it by way of why it is important, is that the entire world has now become a global village. Anything happening in one part of the world automatically gets reflected in other parts also. And the public policies of different nations are influenced by the various institutions of United Nations, be it COVID when it was WHO, or in the case of development of children, UNESCO. So different policies are getting influenced by this. So therefore, hunger again is an area where the United Nations feels that this is the topmost priority. So take out the list of the 17 and give out that particular part which is number one. In respect of all questions, you should follow this pattern. Priority number one should be given in the first place, because if you go to the last level, then the panelists may feel, all right, let's go to the next question. So you should prioritize. Secondly, always support with examples. Whenever you make a point, example. And thirdly, always give the both sides of the coin. So pros and cons, particularly in respect of slightly controversial questions. So both the sides. You understand what whether it is reservation, whether it is Article 370, and so on. So there are many such things. Then social media, 30 seconds you were to speak, and you already said that, and also 3 concrete steps which Rajasthan government has taken for the betterment of women. So you did that.
Yeah, I
that is
told
fine.
all three.
So yes, so then of course, why not go in the field of commerce rather than to civil service? So that is linked to the first question, that is why civil services. Okay, and they may ask you what is the use of the commerce, etc. in the civil services if you get selected. And then of course sati and last sati and desertification, that we already discussed. Then achievement of India in space program. So that we already discussed that. And so low cost satellite and 100 satellites were put in the orbit, and launching the foreign satellites also. So we were actually supporting
So the reason
other
why
countries.
I did not say the foreign satellite point is we are only able to capture, for example, 2% of the overall market share of commercial launches.
No.
That
Much
was the-
higher. Our share is higher now. Commercial launches.
The very fact that
It's
we
only
are,
developing countries, India, which is launching for
earlier it used to be Russia from where we used to launch the satellites. Now we are in a position to launch satellites for other countries.
countries
also.
like
Which is
USA,
very
Belgium,
creditable.
France, they are coming
And
to
it's a
us.
very
Very
huge
good.
contribution to the
Yeah,
GDP. When we are launching foreign satellites, I think for
Yeah.
some 100 odd satellites. We
And yes, and
It's
as a
huge.
result, the telecommunication also in this country has improved considerably. And then of course the president's addressed. When does he address both houses of parliament? So that polity you have to study and you must be knowing. What are the position powers of president? So the first one, as was explained to you, the most important is inviting the leader of the party, which has got majority, or and
Appointing the
Appointing
Prime
the
Minister
Prime
of
Minister.
India, basically.
then Dalai Lama, you can study that, and His Holiness, he's called status, and how do you view his stay in India? What is the achievement, and who is the leader of this Brundtland Commission also? That of course.
Environment you should do more
Environmental
study.
issues. In fact,
Yes,
That's a
actually,
very
sir,
burning issue.
recently I had read in one of the current affair magazines and I got confused in the year. But I knew
इसको थोड़ा सा पढ़ लो because ये important है.
In fact,
Burning issue है.
environment,
Yes.
climate change, India's position stand on those issues. What is developed countries viewpoint, and so on, and the Paris and the COP and the Rio and so many, So there is
IPCC की 6th report की एक
Yes,
executive
a part
summary
three.
आती है. Executive summary.
Summary आती
आप
It has
internet
just
में
come
जाके वो
out.
पढ़ लो. That's
Yeah.
So actually, I'm abreast with the current affairs. I did not expect a historical underpinning of this content.
that is a must.
we have time. And then of course the Kirodibal Vaisla,
Yes.
he expired, and what was his contribution, what was he spearheading? So you came out with that Gujar movement, criterion for OBC reservation and social backwardness, and then he's called as Plato of Jats, and why he did not the issue historical aspect, that Maratha movement, Surajmal. So distinguish between walking, trotting, canter, and galloping.
So I could not specifically say as to.
But I must
But it
say
was fun.
that the very fact that you have good knowledge, very good knowledge about sports, shows that you have mixed both the things together, your academics as well as sports, which is a very good thing. And that is why you had a first-hand knowledge about many things connected with sports that would not have come, a bookish knowledge would not have helped. You were able to, immediately retrieve that information, which is again a very good thing. And the breeds of horses, and then of course the football, the different formations again, and where you did not know, you considered that, which again is a very good thing. That if you do not know, don't try to bluff, and you say, yes, I do not know about it. And then your position, yeah, okay. So then I would say that you are very cheerful, confident, there is a clarity in what you say. The communication skills are very good, except that sometimes only, and your energy levels tends to go down a bit, but most of the time it was at a fairly good level. Some of the question which I asked you, you were able to come out with answers quite well. The last question was a slightly provocative question, proactive and reactive and inactive types of government. So that was only to bring you out into coming.
Sir, I think the reason why I think I'm low on energy is probably because this is my third interview of the day today.
Oh,
my
acha,
goodness.
acha,
So,
acha.
maybe
You have
Yeah,
already
one day
been
you
to
should
two
not
other
do this.
mock
No,
interviews.
you should not do
Don't
that.
push yourself.
You should
right
not.
now.
ma'am, actually,
It will
I
confuse
hail
you.
from Jaipur, ma'am. So I've come
Acha,
to
so
Delhi only to give the interviews today. So I only today.
Okay. That explains it. So no problem. So you had a mental alertness was there. You had analytical skills fully. You could analyze. You could think while standing on your legs, and your communication skills are very good. You're clear, logical, and current affairs was fairly good. And particularly the sports sector, you were able to come out very well. And even in those questions which were provocative, you were able to give out with very balanced answers. And that again speaks very well about you. And so that's about it. So I think your poise, presentation, your demeanor, everything, dress sense, except that you are wearing brown shoes, so wear black shoes, that would be better.
And laced.
And laced,
Unlaced.
Shoes. No,
Laced.
laced
With-
shoes.
with
only.
laces.
Black
With-
also.
Yeah, these are
I always
laces.
prefer a lace.
Yeah, so I think you will do very well, exceedingly well, and our best wishes to you. Do you have any questions to ask?
So as such, I do not have any specific questions, but any other critical assessment from the other members.
Eye contact I will recommend. Sometimes you lose eye contact. Just keep it.
And before you go away, let me mention one or two other things, areas which you must prepare, which we did not ask you. That is about the district administration. So district administration role of the collector in different fields: revenue administration, law and order, the magisterial role. Then the third is the coordination, which he's the coordinating head of the district. So coordinating agriculture production, power, power, irrigation, all those things, agricultural inputs, fertilizers. So he is there for coordinating activities between various departments. He is the head of the revenue administration. Who are the officers working under him? Right? You have a lot of time. You can visit any district and to find a first-hand knowledge. Then the local bodies at the urban level, the municipality, the municipal committees, corporation, and the Gram Panchayat, Panchayat Samiti, Zilla Parishad. You must be having some knowledge about it. So you must understand who are the official involved and who are the non-official involved. So Sarpanch and Gram Sachiv, BDPO and Chairman Panchayat Samiti, CEO of Zilla Parishad and Chairman Zilla Parishad. So the role of the collector in respect of these, then the election process, what are the different steps of the election, what are the roles of collector in election machinery, then different programs, schemes, public policies in respect of pollution and other areas. For example, Namami Gange was a project which was launched. For women, what has been done? So Ujjwala Yojana and Swachh Bharat also touches upon the health of the women by construction of toilets, housing for the poor, Ujala Yojana, and then financial inclusion. What is that scheme?
So the Jan Aadhaar.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
It's the integration of JAM.
JAM
So,
Trinity.
yeah. So that again is a very important scheme of the government of India. Besides that, Digital India, you must know, e-governance, so role of ICT. These are all areas, public service delivery. So have a good knowledge about all these things. And let me tell you, you must come out. We are very hopeful that you will. You are a very young person right now, 23 years of age. If you come out of it successfully, you will go very high in terms of promotion also.
No, you will come out very well. Don't worry.
So our best wishes to you. You possess that spark which is necessary for a civil servant, and definitely you will do well.
I hope so. Thank you very much.
Harsh, just one
Yes, ma'am.
comment, and it is my fault that it slipped my mind. You have given Indian Information Service as the 5th position. It is rarely given as the 5th position. So just look into the departments which are there in the Information Service, and what is the actual work of that, because this can come. You know,
Yes.
since it's your fifth option, exactly what is the work the Indian Information Service does? Okay.
I certainly would.
Because not just disseminating information, but also sharing that information, transfer of that information. How does it work?
Okay. So
All
good
the
luck.
best.
Good luck.
Thank
Good
you,
luck
sir.
to you.
Thank you, sir.
Good luck to you.
All the best.
Unacademy. Let's crack it.